Hi, this is Captain Andrew from Sailors Delight Back Bay Fishing of Wildwood, New Jersey. And I'm welcoming you to one of our segments called Fish Stories, where I give everybody a lowdown and entertaining breakdown of my life's experiences in both the fishing and merchant marine world. Now, some of the names and locations have been changed for privacy reasons, but I assure you that everything I'm about to tell you is the truth as I saw it.
So I'm going to do something a little bit different with today's fish story because I've tried writing this one out. This has been requested by a few of my fellow mates who know the story. And there's really no good way to tell this story without inevitably offending somebody. So I'm just going to sort of shoot from the hip here and tell you. This is a story about the absolute worst weather night I've ever fished in. So it was myself and my best friend. We were both mates at the time, and we knew it was going to be a crap trip. But it's hard to turn away 40 people standing at the dock. So the owner decided to send the boat out. And we had the night captain. He's sadly since passed away. And he had a notorious, what's the way to put this? He was an asshole, but at least he was an honest asshole. So, it was myself, my friend, the captain, and about 40 or so people on board the boat. And you knew it was blowing stiff easterly already. And if you know anything about fishing on the Atlantic, easterly just heaps up the swell, it heaps up the chop. It's going to be snotty out. So, boat goes out, and the second we break the inlet, it starts getting nasty. We try and escort some people in, but into the cabin, on the way out till we get anchored up. But there was a group of people on the left hand on the port side up towards the bow. It was a group of Middle Easterners. And there was about 5 or 6 of the women in the full burqa dress. And all the men and the children from the group went inside, but these 4 or 5 women decided they just wanted to stay outside. Well, whatever. I mean, it was kind of snotty. I mean, it was spray. I'm sure they were getting soaked, but whatever. But that's important. That part will come back later. So we're a minute out of the inlet. The seasick people start. They're trying to throw up in the trash cans. We're trying to escort them out. The captain, the owner, used to have a saying. He used to say on rough days to the customers, if you start feeling the effects of motion sickness, please do not throw up in the bathrooms or the cabins. Simply don't be bashful, don't be shy. Step to the rail and let it fly. Put every chunk in the water where it'll do the most good for everybody. Anyway, I used to hear that in my sleep on rough days. So anyway, I mean, people are trying to go into the bathrooms to puke. It's just getting to be a bad situation. We finally get out to an area known as the 20-minute slough. And at this point, we've already gone from 20 people, or from 40 people on the boat ready to fish to 20. We've got 20 people that are able to get out of the cabin and go out and fish. And maybe there's a few sea bass here and there. Maybe there was a bluefish. It was rough. It was nasty. There was barely anything biting. So we gave up on the bathrooms. We poured some bleach in the trash cans, hoping to discourage people. If you are curious for a little science experiment and you have access to the materials, you do not want to puke into anything that's got bleach in it because it becomes quite noxious and you won't want to be in that space. But, us being, you know, late teens, early 20s and didn't want to deal with it, we knew this trick. We cleared the cabin out pretty quickly that way. But anyway, I digress. So, we get brutalized. We get a few fish. 10 o'clock comes around, we finally pull the anchor, we start heading back for the dock. So, we get back to the dock, we get the boat tied off. I think we've got maybe a whopping $5 in tips if we're lucky. And the boat is just one big stain from bow to stern. So, as usual, I start cleaning up in the bow, scrubbing, everything. And I hear some sort of commotion in the stern. And I walk back, and it's my buddy Tommy, my mate, my best friend. He's the other mate. And he's just standing there in disbelief with a hose in his hand, and he tells me to come here, and I walk down, and he reopens the bathroom door, and I have seen a velocity injury to a person's head before. I opened up the bathroom door and it looked as if someone had blown their head off with a shotgun in the bathroom. There was vomit on every surface, even the horizontal vertical ones. The ceiling had vomit on it. It was miraculous. It didn't make sense. And Tommy was just sitting there with his hose in his hand, stunned, silence. Same thing with me. The overhead on the boat had that vinyl with the little 5 dots, and I mean there was stuff even hanging out of the holes in the vinyl ceiling. So we took a 5-gallon bucket full of soapy water and we just started pitching it in there, just trying to get water on every surface and start loosening it up. So he said he was going to take care of it, so I go back up to the bow, and now I'm up on the bow on the port side, and I'm cleaning, and I see what weird marks on the benches where people had been sitting. And I start trying to clean it up. It's not coming up. I get the harder scrub brush and start smearing a little bit. And Tommy comes up and he sees it and he looks at it and he looks at me and he tells me to stop trying to clean it. And I look at him and I go, "Why?" He goes, "Those are skid marks." So yeah, that's how rough that night was. The group of Middle Easterners had left skid marks on the bench. Like I said, folks, there was no good way to tell this story without offending at least somebody, but yep. So what usually took us an hour to clean the boat between 2 people. By the time we took 5-gallon trash can bags out, or well, no, not 5-gallon, the 13-gallon tall. We had 5 of them filled with trash and, well, vomit out of the trash cans, out of the cabins, and then by the time we cleaned both bathrooms, fortunately the second bathroom wasn't too bad. And then the cleaning table with what few fish we had to fillet, it was a 2.5 hour long cleaning job before we finally settled down and had a moment to just decompress. And it's one of those moments, if you're familiar with the TV show Rick and Morty, after Rick and Morty finish one of their adventures and they get medals and they get inside and they're sitting in the space car and they just break down laughing and crying. That's what Tommy and I did on the bench in front of the boat before we went home that night to have to wake up at 5 o'clock the next morning and do it all over again. That's the glamorous side of party boat fishing as a mate. Now, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoy my channel here, and if you do, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe, and feel free to leave me comments. I do enjoy all sorts of feedback, both positive and negative, and don't be afraid to share. Thank you very much, tight lines, and good fishing.